was 8:07 a.m. on Friday, May 14, 1982, in the bustling city of St. Louis, Missouri. The streets were already alive with honking cars, businessmen in suits, and the smell of coffee drifting from corner diners. On the surface, it was just another ordinary morning, but inside the Midwestern Federal Bank on Jefferson Avenue, 6 masked men were about to pull off a crime so daring, so chaotic, that investigators would later call it one of the most baffling bank robberies in U.S. history. Stay with me until the very end, because this isn't just a story about stolen money. It's a story about betrayal, lies, and a shocking twist that no one saw coming. At 8:12 a.m., the first employees unlocked the side entrance of the bank. Surveillance footage later showed 2 men in maintenance uniforms following closely behind, carrying toolboxes. They looked like contractors hired to repair the air conditioning. But the moment they stepped inside, the illusion shattered. Out came the shotguns, out came the masks, and with terrifying precision, the robbery began. "Everyone down now!" one of the men shouted, his voice muffled behind a ski mask. Panic erupted. Tellers screamed, papers scattered, and a security guard reached for his weapon. But he never had the chance. A shotgun blast rang out, shattering the glass partition, forcing everyone onto the floor. Within minutes, more accomplices stormed in through the front entrance. 6 men, 6 guns, 1 plan. And here's the part that stunned investigators. The robbers didn't go straight for the teller's drawers. They moved with purpose, like soldiers, straight to the vault. But here's the question that would haunt the FBI for decades. How did they know the vault was unlocked at that exact time? Because on that morning, for just 8 minutes, the vault door would be open while managers prepared the cash delivery. 8 minutes, and the robbers struck at exactly the right moment. Coincidence or inside job? By 8:19 a.m., the gang had stuffed nearly $7 million in cash into duffel bags, one of the largest hauls in American history at the time. But then came the twist. Instead of fleeing, one of the robbers locked the employees inside the vault and placed a strange object by the door. It looked like a bomb. "Try to follow us," he hissed, "and this whole building goes up." The men vanished. Sirens wailed through downtown St. Louis within minutes. But by the time police arrived, the robbers were gone. No trace, no witnesses, no car. It was as if they'd evaporated into thin air. And here's where the mystery deepens. The supposed bomb by the vault? A fake. The uniforms they wore? Stolen. The toolboxes? Empty. Every detail of the crime was a diversion, a psychological game. But the biggest question remained: who tipped them off about the vault's timing? The FBI launched one of its largest manhunts in Missouri history. Leads poured in. Witnesses described a beige Ford van speeding away, but no license plate was recorded. Others swore they'd seen one of the robbers pull off his mask for just a second, long enough to reveal a scar above his left eyebrow. For weeks, the investigation went nowhere. Then a break. At 9:47 p.m. on June 2nd, police raided a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, they found one of the duffel bags used in the robbery, but it was empty. Alongside it, a single ski mask. DNA testing didn't exist back then, but fingerprints did. And those fingerprints belonged to Frank the Ghost Marino, a career criminal with a reputation for pulling off robberies and disappearing before anyone could catch him. But here's the chilling part. Marino had been reported dead 2 years earlier. His burned-out car had been found off a rural highway, charred beyond recognition. A funeral had even been held. So how could a dead man's fingerprints turn up in a bank robbery? Was Marino alive? Had he faked his death? Or was someone planting evidence to throw investigators off? The case spiraled into conspiracy. By 1983, the FBI suspected the robbery wasn't just a random heist. It was orchestrated by an underground network of criminals tied to both the Chicago outfit and corrupt insiders at the bank itself. Millions of dollars were still missing. Marino's name resurfaced in whispers, but every lead went cold. Witnesses vanished. Informants turned up dead. Files were mysteriously misplaced. And then, another bombshell. In 1985, during a raid in Kansas City, police recovered a handgun linked to the St. Louis robbery. The man arrested was Anthony Russo, a low-level mob associate. Under interrogation, Russo cracked. He admitted he'd been the getaway driver on May 14, 1982. But before he could testify, Russo was shot execution-style in his apartment. Case closed. Literally, every piece of evidence tied to him vanished. So what really happened? Some investigators believe Frank Marino was alive and masterminded the entire operation, using mob money to fake his death years earlier. Others believe Marino really was dead, and someone within the FBI planted his fingerprints to shield the real culprits. But the most terrifying theory? That the robbers had help from inside the bank. That someone with clearance, someone who knew the exact vault schedule, handed them the keys to $7 million. To this day, no one knows where that money went. None of it ever resurfaced, no arrests ever stuck. The Midwestern Federal Robbery remains one of the most infamous unsolved heists in U.S. history. And here's the kicker. The story doesn't end there. Because in 1991, nearly a decade later, a young FBI agent stumbled upon a hidden file in the archives. Inside were surveillance photos, names, even recordings that had never been turned over during the original investigation, evidence pointing to powerful men with connections in law enforcement, politics, and organized crime. Evidence suggesting the robbery wasn't just about money, it was about silencing someone who knew too much. And the last page of that file contained a single note scribbled in pencil. Ask about May 14th. It wasn't just a robbery. What that means and what the FBI uncovered when they dug deeper is where part 2 begins. Because the truth about the St. Louis bank heist may be darker than the crime itself. Every case hides secrets. Every secret has a part 2. Smash that subscribe button so you're here when the next piece of this mystery unfolds.